Some of my favorite memories of childhood were when we would host these big 4th of July parties. I remember filling the cooler full of drinks and ice and knowing that people that I loved were going to be flocking in very soon. Ever since I was a kid, this was really important to me. We would take family camping trips every single year. I remember sitting around the campfire, and my grandpa had just gotten married to a wonderful woman named Peg. He had gotten remarried in his 80s. I remember my uncle telling these silly campfire stories. He kept talking about this woman named Gep. You know, Gep was camping for the first time and she didn't know what to do. And it was this whole long story about Gep. And as a kid, I was fascinated. I'm like, who is Gep? Like, who is this person? And it was only way later that I realized Gep, G-E-P, is Peg spelled backwards. I remember my older cousins, you know, they're 6 years older than me, so they know everything at that point. We ran out of marshmallows, so they decided to take what we had, which was grapes, and roast some grapes over the fire. And, you know, as an 8-year-old, that was like amazing. I'm like, you can do that? And it was just this bonding experience that you can only have when there's nothing else that you're busy with, where you're just gathered. You just connect on a completely different level than you do when you're out in the world. One of my most defining moments in my life was when I met my husband. It was at a church camp in the Teton Mountains. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to that camp. My best friend and my pastor and my dad pretty much dragged me kicking and screaming at 17 years old to applying for that camp. But I knew, something inside of me just knew that I needed to go. And so I went. And I had one of the most memorable experiences of my life. So that's what we're creating here. And this is kind of the story behind the story.